People assumed Fleo was just a level 1 weakling, but he eventually became the most powerful hero around after rescuing a group of beautiful girls. Initially, Fleo was an ordinary trader in a fantasy world where demi-humans were commonly treated as slaves. However, Fleo stood out because he treated everyone with respect and paid fair wages. This naturally led to resentment from the other traders. One day, while he was busy loading goods into his wagon, Fleo was abruptly transported to a completely new world. Confused, he looked around and saw a group of hooded figures celebrating their success in finally summoning a hero. The Pope, noticing Fleo's bewilderment, explained that they had been attempting to summon a hero to save their kingdom from a menacing demon army. Before Fleo could respond, a maid in a furry uniform placed a magical crystal in front of him. The Pope explained that when heroes enter this world at level 1, the gods give them super powerful abilities. But when Fleo's stats appeared, everyone was shocked. His stats were below average, and he didn't have a single special ability. Meanwhile, another hero was summoned. This guy had stats maxed out at 999. Everyone started celebrating him, kneeling, and showering him with praise. The golden-haired hero looked at Fleo and laughed at his pathetic level. The king, hearing the news, immediately started pampering this new hero and officially named him the savior. Fleo, feeling like he had let everyone down, just like he often felt he disappointed his parents, looked out the balcony and thought about asking to be sent back to his world. The next morning, instead of getting answers, Fleo was forcibly packed into a carriage and sent away from the capital. He remembered how the Pope had told him that the portal he came through was now closed, and there was no way back. The king decided to grant Fleo a piece of land in a distant forest and ordered him never to return to the capital or mention he was from another world. During the long journey, Fleo tried to talk to the lizardmen escorting him, but the lizardmen told him to shut up, saying no one wanted to talk to losers. For 20 days, Fleo ate, slept, and drank in the wagon, feeling miserable. Finally, they arrived at a mysterious forest. Fleo stepped out and saw a beautiful landscape. He started thinking maybe he could actually live there. The lizard man handed him a bag. The lizard man advised Fleo to run away quickly because the forest is a stronghold for powerful demon generals. After that, the lizardman left without another word, leaving Fleo alone. Fleo checked the magic bag and found money, food, other essentials, and a fancy sword with a golden handle and sharp blade. Excited, Fleo pulled out the sword, but suddenly some slimes appeared behind him. At first, he ignored them, since slimes are usually harmless. To his surprise, the purple slimes attacked him, forcing him to defend himself. He slashed them to pieces, but the sword shattered, revealing it was cheaply made in China. Just then, a screen popped up showing that his level had increased. Fleo checked his stats and was shocked to see all his abilities now ranked SS. Confused, he didn't have time to process this before an AI named Alexa appeared, saying she would guide him. Alexa explained that he had unlocked various magic spells, much to his surprise. Before he could do anything, Alexa revealed that the magic bag contained a GPS tracker and monster bait, which attracted monsters to him. Realizing the king had sent him to the forest to get rid of him, Fleo asked Alexa to remove the spells. After the curses were lifted, he wandered around, about to enter the forest. Alexa warned him about poisonous gas secreted by demons throughout the forest, which was harmful to humans and demi-humans. She asked if he wanted to purify the forest, and when Fleo agreed, a huge light blast swept over the forest, purifying it. While Fleo was still confused, a bunch of screens popped up, reminding him of the virus he got after clicking on sketchy links. Meanwhile, back at the kingdom, the princess told her father that sending Fleo to the forest was unhinged and that he would likely die there. The king, dismissive and ugly, called Fleo a piece of trash. A mage interrupted to inform the king that S-ranked purification magic had been used, but not in the south, where Blondie was fighting the demon army. Instead, it was used in the north, inside the mysterious forest. The king was stunned, realizing something unexpected was happening. Back in the forest, the pop-ups finally stopped, and Alexa told Fleo that his current level was 367, which meant he was basically a god on this planet. Fleo didn't care about being a god, but didn't want to live alone either. So, Alexa suggested he shapeshift and commit some identity theft. Fleo, being a bit of a degenerate, agreed. First, Alexa turned him into a thick-thighed girl, but Fleo quickly realized he didn't make a good bottom, so he switched back to being a man no one had seen before. Deciding to head back to the capital for some fun, Alexa told him he could use teleportation magic. He agreed, and in a flash, he was in the city, really surprised by the instant travel. He tried to use the magic to teleport back to his original world but failed, so he decided to drown his sorrows with a drink. He went to the Adventurers Guild to register himself. The receptionist explained the different adventurer ranks and gave him an identification card with rank E on it. Fleo took the tag and checked the notice board for quests. He saw a little girl asking for adventurers to escort her to the mysterious forest where her parents lived. None of the adventurers agreed, since she didn't have much money, and the forest was deadly. Fleo decided to help her, saying he'd do it for free since he knew teleportation magic. This shocked everyone in the guild because teleportation magic was incredibly high level, only used by top sorcerers. Suddenly, the guild's version of the FBI showed up. A blonde warrior girl put her sword to Fleo's throat, asking how many kids he had in his basement. The witch in the group accused him of being a trafficker, while Lil Girl hid behind a muscular woman. Fleo quickly explained he was just an adventurer and had stopped putting kids in his basement ever since he got caught back in his original world. The girls didn't believe him and took him to an empty alleyway. They demanded he show them the teleportation magic, threatening to chop him to pieces if he tried to run. Fleo turned around and activated the teleportation magic, transporting all of them to the mysterious forest. The group was stunned, confirming their location on the map. The witch asked why Fleo was still E rank, while the blonde girl kneeled and apologized for calling him a pedo. Lil Girl walked near the forest and noticed all the poisonous gases were gone. Fleo was about to tell Lil Girl that he purified the forest when Alexa warned him that the girl was a demon. Suddenly, Blondie stepped in front of him, drawing her sword at Lil Girl. The buff chick, the archer, and the witch all got ready to attack as well. Blondie demanded the girl reveal her true colors and informed Fleo that the guild had put up a notice about a mysterious girl luring people into the forest. The archer mentioned that the forest was home to a demon general, making it highly suspicious. As Blondie pushed her sword closer, Lil Girl started to cry, but then her expression changed to a vicious smile. She declared that they all would die, revealing her true form as a huge wolf demon named Fen, one of the demon army's 4 generals. Fen claimed that the Demon King had sent her to spy on the adventurers and that they had to die to keep her identity secret. The area was filled with poisonous gas, causing all the girls to collapse and weaken. Fleo, unaffected by the gas, tried to help Blondie up. Fen was surprised by his immunity but decided to deal with him later, attacking Blondie. Fleo saved her just in time and realized he couldn't protect everyone while running away. He told Alexa to teleport the girls back to the capital, which saved their lives. Fleo prepared for a fight, using all his spells to take on Fen. She rushed in to attack, but Fleo used instant transmission to dodge and appeared behind her. Fen turned and tried to strike with her sharp claws, but Fleo used earth magic to create a protective wall. He followed up with a wind attack, throwing her into the air. Realizing Fleo wasn't weak, Fen quickly teleported away, trying to land a surprise attack. However, Fleo's reactions were quicker. He used a gravitation spell to force her to the ground. Stunned by the magic she had never seen before, Fen struggled as Fleo contemplated his next move. He knew he needed to capture her, but wasn't sure which spell to use. Thankfully, Alexa suggested using a slavery spell to make Fen obey his orders. Fleo, however, refused to use it, not wanting to enslave anyone. Fen attempted to use a spell to escape, but Alexa nullified it, urging Fleo to use the slavery spell again. He refused once more. Fen tried to teleport away again, but the spell failed, leaving her vulnerable. Fleo struggled with the idea of using a spell to force someone into slavery, as he hated it in his previous world. But Alexa insisted it was the only way. Meanwhile, Fen kept trying different spells to break free from the gravity magic, failing again and again. Eventually, she fell over, exhausted and defeated, with no magic left. She urged Fleo to kill her, claiming she couldn't survive once his mana was drained. Fleo surprised her by saying he had no intention of killing anyone. He dispelled the gravity magic, and Fen, shocked, stood up to face him. She declared that she was a demon warrior who had fought and killed many humans, so why would he let her live? Fleo looked at her gently and replied that it didn't matter if she was a monster. He would never attack or kill an enemy who had surrendered. This astonished her, and she changed back into her human form, though now without any clothes. Like a gentleman, Fleo quickly put his cloak on her and asked her to promise not to attack humans without reason anymore. He then rummaged through his bag for some clothes. When he turned back, he saw she had fallen into a deep sleep, completely drained of mana. He smiled, set up a tent, and put her inside. By evening, he lit a fire and started checking all his different magic spells, remembering how people doubted his ability to use teleportation magic. After a while, Fen woke up and greeted him, asking if he had used healing magic to replenish her mana. Fleo smiled and assured her she was safe. She admitted that she expected to be dead by now and felt she owed her life to him. She promised never to harm humans again without reason. Fleo thanked her, but she insisted she owed him her life and would act as his slave from now on. He gently told her he didn't need any slaves, which saddened her. She grew her claws back, saying her life had no meaning if she couldn't serve him, and tried to harm herself. Fleo begged her to stop, promising she could stay with him as long as she wanted. This made her happy. Later, he told her his story about how he wasn't from this world. He explained that he had been teleported here against his will as a hero candidate. Because he was weak with no special skills, the king had tossed him aside and left him in the forest to die, not knowing how to send him back home. Fen listened intently, understanding his plight. He then changes his appearance back to normal to show her his true self, and explains that he's technically banished from the kingdom. This means he will have to keep moving constantly, which will be very problematic and stressful for her if she decides to follow him. She reassures him that she will stay by his side no matter what, pledging her life and loyalty to him, and pleads with him to let her stay. Fleo is shocked, but gladly accepts her proposal, which makes her very happy, and she hugs him tightly. Meanwhile, inside the castle, the hero returns to report a massive loss against the demon army to the king. When the king asks how so many knights were wiped out in a single battle, the hero blames him for providing weak knights who immediately broke rank and started running at the sight of a single demon. He then tells the king to be thankful for the knights that survived because of him and storms out of the court. Following this, the king turns to one of the knights and asks what actually happened on the battlefield. The knight paints a completely different story, claiming that the hero was a massive coward, hiding behind the ranks of the knights even though he was the strongest. Moreover, the moment strong demons started attacking, he decided to run away, telling the knights to cover his retreat. The king holds his head in disbelief, not knowing how to save his kingdom, while the hero walks back to his chambers, angry at himself for not getting any stronger despite trying so hard. The next morning, Fleo takes Fen back into the city. They walk through the market and decide to act as husband and wife to avoid unnecessary suspicion. Soon, they head to the Adventurers Guild to get Fen registered so they can take on some quests and earn money. She soon gets her adventurer's tag, but with name Reese, which makes her really happy because it's the same rank that Fleo has. They head over to the notice board to get a quest when an emergency quest is announced by the receptionist. According to her, many monsters have been seen in the forests near the city, and they seem to be moving toward the town to destroy it. Everyone gets scared, as monsters being this close to the city means that the hero failed to destroy them. The receptionist also announces that they will pay 10 times the usual amount for each monster killed. Fleo comments that the pay is good, but suggests they skip fighting these monsters as they sound strong. Reese looks at him, confused, and tells him that the monsters are no match for him. But Fleo doesn't buy it, saying even the hero couldn't handle those monsters. Reese fires back, saying if he won't go, she'll handle it solo. She insists that if she can handle it, Fleo definitely can, since he's stronger. After a pause, Fleo agrees, and off they teleport to the forest where they stumble upon an empty house set up by the guild as their base. As they approach, a scream shatters the air, drawing them in. Lo and behold, it's the same group of girls Fleo saved earlier, once again cornered by monsters. Reese scoffs, calling the monsters weak as one charges at the buff chick. She tries to fend it off with an injured arm but gets tossed aside. Quick on his feet, Fleo zaps the beast with lightning, saving her. Another monster zeroes in on the witch, but Reese crushes it with one blow. With the monsters gone, the Lady Knight thanks Fleo for saving them again. Just when they think it's over, another monster lurks behind Reese. She gives it a look that could scare the stripes off a zebra, and it starts whimpering. Reese finds it adorable and decides to adopt it as a pet. Fleo magics up a collar and turns it into some weird dog-rabbit hybrid. Back at the house, they meet Balarasa, the Lady Knight, Archer, the redhead, and Witch, the girl in the hat. Balarasa asks Fleo to teach them to fight since the hero's a no-show post-defeat. The king wants every knight to become a one-monster wrecking crew. Rhys is not thrilled about sharing Fleo, but he quickly announces that she's his wife, which makes her ecstatic. They all agree to hang around for training, gearing up for the next day's session. The next morning, Fleo finds Rhys lounging near his bed. He's a tad taken aback, but then remembers that last night she wanted to bunk with him, claiming they're hitched. He got all flustered, saying there's a ton of marriage stuff to sort out first. Rhys looks let down, saying beast folks can just tie the knot whenever they feel like it. No fuss. Fleo offers to bunk outside, but Rhys warns him the other girls might get suspicious if they see them sleeping solo, hinting at their fake marriage cover. Fleo caves and agrees to share the room, opting for separate beds, just like my folks did before the big split. Rhys gets all bossy, telling him to ditch his old duds. But then, Balarasa busts in like she owns the place, shocked to find them together, and dashes off without a word. They gear up for training, but it's a disaster. Balarasa babbles on about herself to a boar instead of fighting, and it charges. Buff Chick swings her sword, missing entirely, making the boar even madder. Rhys orders Witch to throw up a magic shield, which she does, but it fizzles out fast. The archer's arrows barely scratch the beast. Fleo and Rhys watch from the sidelines, cringing as the girls scramble. Later, Fleo sets up comfy beds, a hit with the girls. They hit the kitchen, finding raw meat chunks on the plates. Rhys proudly announces she bagged these from the boar hunt, prepping them as a fancy treat for their new digs. Fleo prefers his meat cooked, though. Rhys offers to grill, but Fleo's skeptical, so he takes charge with Balarasa's help, whipping up a feast with salads, rice, and beautifully cooked steak. Rhys seems peeved, but Fleo praises Balarasa's cooking skills. She reveals she's from a noble family that fell on hard times, so she learned to cook out of necessity and ended up loving it. Everyone digs in, praising the grub, but Rhys sticks to her belief that fresh meat is best raw, and plants are for the weaklings who get chomped by stronger critters. Fleo nudges her to give the salad a shot, and to her surprise, she ends up digging it big time. Then she takes a stab at the steak, and boom, her taste buds go on a roller coaster ride. She's never had meat so tender and juicy with that perfect golden crust. She tries to play it cool, but deep down, she's blown away. She vows to whip up even better grub next time. Later that day, Fleo and Rhys hit up the capital to unload the boar demons they bagged. People are shocked because, well, Fleo's supposed to be a greenhorn, not an S-rank hero. Fleo realizes they need to chill with the monster hunts to avoid raising eyebrows, and Rhys is on board. She ducks out for a bit for some personal biz, promising to catch up. Fleo waves her off and gets roped into a chat with a furry dude who wants to have a heart-to-heart. No judgment here, so Fleo goes along. Turns out, word on the street is Fleo's made quite the splash in the kingdom. Even the king's heard about his heroics and wants to dub him an honorary knight. A pretty big deal for a regular dude. But Fleo's not biting. He's cool with how things are and ain't about to join the demon-slaying squad. This throws the furry dude for a loop, but Fleo shrugs it off and bails. When he meets up with Rhys, she's looking worse for wear, covered in ash and bruises. He's freaked and asks if she got jumped by a demon. She brushes it off, saying it's no biggie. Truth is, she tried her hand at a cooking class she saw advertised. Let's just say, things didn't go as planned. She accidentally blew up the whole place when she tried to conjure a flame. Fast forward a month, and Fleo's still getting invites from the king's crew to join the hero gang, but he keeps turning them down flat. Meanwhile, he checks in on Buff Chick, who's gone green thumb crazy, ditching the fight training for farming. She's got this cute little garden going with the help of her furry friend, and they're churning out fresh veggies like nobody's business. Meanwhile, Rhys is on a mission to help the archer overcome her fear of shooting living targets. She's been practicing on wooden dummies, but it's time to level up. Rhys figures some juicy chicken might do the trick, but no dice. On the flip side, the witch is still running low on mana, so Fleo hands over a magic ring to amp up her powers. He tells her to give it a whirl and report back. She's about to slip it on her ring finger, daydreaming about Fleo, when Rhys drops a bomb, threatening to chop her hand if she does. Balarasa tries playing the damsel in distress, yelling for Fleo to rescue her, but Rhys is not having it. She slices the monster in half, telling Balarasa to cut the act. Balarasa plays dumb, but Reese calls her out, saying she's just pretending to be weak for Fleo's sake, hoping he'll swoop in like a knight. She warns Balarasa to keep her eyes off her man. Suddenly, Reese feels eyes on them, but there's nobody in sight. Later, they chow down on a feast cooked up by Reese, and it's a game changer. They're blown away, wondering if she's secretly a culinary genius or a restaurant thief. Reese spills the beans about her cooking classes in the capital. It wasn't smooth sailing at first, but she stuck with it, and now she's serving up edible masterpieces. They dig in, and even Fleo's singing praises. This puts a grin on Reese's face, but little do they know, a spy's lurking outside. The furry beast spy spots Reese and wonders what she's up to among the humans. She's suspicious, thinking Reese might be plotting against the demons. Before the spy can spill the beans to the Demon King, Reese sneaks up on her, scaring the daylights out of her. They invite the spy in, named Ulaliminus, and offer her tea. She's thrown off guard, thanks them for the tea, and promptly burns her tongue. Reese cuts to the chase, demanding to know why the Demon King's assistant is snooping around their turf. Ulaliminus explains she's investigating some demon deaths, and stumbled upon Reese. So, Reese spills the beans to Ulaliminus, saying she's the one who took down those demons, and now she's living the good life with Fleo, who, surprise, surprise, is her hubby. Ulaliminus's eyes nearly pop out, but Reese cuts to the chase, asking if she's looking for trouble. Ulaliminus is scared stiff and swears she's not up to no good, then promptly burns her tongue again. She's scratching her head, wondering how Fleo, a human, stays so cool around a demon. She tries to snoop on his stats but hits a dead end. Then she's like, "Yo, Reese, spill the beans about what went down in the northern forest. There ain't no demons left there." Fleo cops to it, saying he whipped up some purification magic, not knowing it'd wipe out the demons. Ulaliminus's jaws drop, and she turns to Reese, asking if she knew. Reese shuts her down, saying her bro was there too, but tough luck. Turns out he was a big shot in the demon army and should have known better. Reese assures Fleo she's still got the hots for him, even after learning he's got a soft side. The other gals eavesdrop, and the witch hits the deck, realizing Reese is the legendary wolf. Ulaliminus, on the other hand, is all business and challenges Fleo to a brawl, which he's cool with. They head outside and the rumble begins. Ulaliminus pulls a sneaky move, trying to hit Reese while going after Fleo. He's mad as a hornet and shuts her down with a snap, trapping her in midair. He warns her to lay off Reese and tells her to hit the road. Next morning, they hear a racket and dash outside to see Ulaliminus riding a dragon army, ready to throw down. Fleo's not sweating, though. He's pumped to see a dragon up close. He zaps them with lightning, frying most of them to a crisp. Ulaliminus's jaw hits the dirt as Fleo single-handedly takes out the demon army's big guns. Buff Chick starts pondering if she could have just tossed a hoe at those dragons and snagged the Dragon Slayer title. Fleo, always game for some fun, tells her it's not too late. So she flings her hoe at a fleeing dragon, and with a little magical boost from Fleo, the dragon drops dead. Instantly, she's a bona fide dragon slayer. The other girls swarm Fleo, begging for their own dragon-slaying moment, but he just grins and says, "Sorry, the dragons are all taken care of." Meanwhile, the Demon King is seething in his castle, having watched the entire scene. He decides it's time to handle this nuisance, Fleo, and the traitor, Reese, personally. The next morning, the girls are still gathered around Buff Chick, totally captivated by her new Dragon Slayer title. The witch even brings back the hoe that killed the dragon, treating it like a cherished trophy. While they're all busy admiring, Balarasa steps outside and announces she's heading into the forest to hunt more monsters. The girls admire her determination. She's been at it for a while, even though she hasn't gotten much stronger. Balarasa keeps training every single day, never losing hope. In reality, though, Balarasa just goes to the forest and pretends she doesn't care about her stagnant powers. It frustrates her endlessly that no matter what she does, she remains weak. Missing out on the Dragon Slayer title only adds to her frustration, especially since it could have boosted her status from commoner to noble instantly. She's so annoyed because if she'd been quicker, she could have asked for Fleo's help to kill a dragon and snag that prestigious title, helping her family regain their noble status from her childhood. As she's standing there, deep in thought, a man approaches her, asking if she knows about a couple living in the forest. Balarasa's immediately on high alert. In a forest filled with deadly monsters, this guy seems totally unfazed and isn't even wearing armor. She cautiously answers that she does know the couple and asks if he's a friend of the husband or the wife. He responds, "Wife," and Balarassa's suspicion spikes. She draws her sword and holds it to his throat, accusing him of being a demon, since Reese is part of the demon army. She demands to know what he wants, firmly stating she's not interested in going back. The man, however, calmly says he's just there to talk. Balarassa didn't want to hear anymore, but decided to put her sword away. She told the man that she could deliver a message, but wouldn't lead him to the cottage. He agreed, and asked her to tell Reese if she'd like to have some tea and chat for old time's sake before leaving. Balarassa found the encounter strange, and just then, Reese and Fleo appeared from the forest looking worried. They asked if she was okay, and she said she was fine, just talking to some lowly demon. She wondered why they were there, and Fleo explained that his barrier detected the Demon King entering the area and talking to someone. Balarassa got scared, thinking the Demon King would kill her, but Fleo calmed her down, and they all headed back to the cottage. The next morning, things seemed normal until Reese opened the door to find the Demon Lord himself standing there. She demanded to know what he wanted, but Fleo urged her to avoid violence and talk things out. The Demon Lord, introducing himself as Gol, wondered why nobody was afraid of him, given his status. They all went inside and ran into Balarassa, who was coming out of her room and got terrified again at the sight of Gol. In the guest room, Fleo offered Gol some tea and asked what he wanted to discuss. Reese quickly asserted that she had no intention of returning to the army and questioned if Gol was there to avenge the cat girl they had defeated. Gol assured her he had no such intentions. Instead, he turned his attention to Fleo and asked him to join the demon army. Fleo, caught off guard, replied that he wasn't interested in taking sides in the war. The Demon Lord pondered this, and then inquired how Fleo managed to stay hidden in the forest with such power, suggesting the king must want him on his side. Fleo explained that he didn't feel obligated to fight for the humans just because he was one, and he didn't even understand the reasons behind the war, since he came from a different world. Gol then recounted the history. The war started 500 years ago when a person from another world became the first Demon Lord. This individual, noticing how demons were treated as second-class citizens by humans, rallied the demons, leading to a massive conflict. Ever since then, demon lords had been fighting humans over various issues. However, Gol claimed he had no ambitions to kill all humans or conquer the world. In that moment, his vibe totally shifts, and he's fuming, with mana practically oozing out of him. He yells that all he wants is to chill, but if humans keep targeting demons, he won't just sit back like a clueless dude. Then he turns to Fleo, hoping to intimidate him, and asks if he still wants to join the Demon King's crew. But Fleo, cool as a cucumber, just sips his tea and says nope. The Demon Lord chills out, impressed by Fleo's guts, and figures that must be why the king couldn't rope him in either. He bounces, saying he's not done yet and will be back, leaving the girls to find Balarassa knocked out from fear. The next day, Balarassa wakes up and heads downstairs to freshen up. But lo and behold, she walks in on the Demon King having brekkie with Reese and Fleo. She freaks out, and when the king invites her to join, she bolts, claiming she's not dressed for the occasion. The following day, she gears up and heads out, only to find the Demon King waiting to take a stroll with her. She makes a run for it, saying she needs to practice. Meanwhile, back in the kingdom, word spreads about a demon visiting Fleo's place, and the king loses it. He orders the army to crush Fleo's pad and crew. But before that goes down, the princess steps in, questioning if it's a smart move. She suggests talking to Fleo first, fearing that attacking him will push him to join the demon side for real. The king brushes her off, calling her clueless and telling her to stick to kitchen duties. Enter the blonde hero, who tells the king to round up some troops so he can chat with Fleo. If he can sway Fleo by talking, great. If not, he's ready to throw down. The next morning, Reese and Fleo are having brekkie when she asks why he's not picking a side. He shrugs, saying it's 'cause she's a demon, and he doesn't want to off her kin. Fleo replies that it's part of the reason, but he also doesn't think demons are inherently evil. Before they can chat more, the archer bursts in, shouting that the entire army is here. Reese worries it's the Demon Lord attacking, but when they step outside, they see it's the kingdom's army, with the hero leading them in his usual flashy and arrogant way. The hero strolls up to Fleo and gives him two choices: join humanity's side and help fight the Demon King for a reward, or refuse and be labeled a traitor, destined to be destroyed as an accomplice. Fleo calmly says he won't pick a side because he wants no part in this war. The hero, looking down on him, declares that this refusal makes Fleo a traitor, meaning he must die. Fleo insists he's not an accomplice, and the girls back him up, saying he just doesn't want to fight. The hero offers to spare them if they can convince Fleo to change his mind. Otherwise, they'll all be doomed. Balirasa speaks up, saying she believes Fleo is right. She was raised to think demons were evil and should be killed, but meeting Reese and the others made her realize demons are living beings with feelings too. Fleo then tells the hero he won't fight against them, but won't stay there either. Reese and the other girls declare they'll go with him. The hero laughs, thinking there's no escape, but Fleo surprises everyone by using teleportation magic to move his entire group, house, and fields to a completely different location. The army is stunned, and suddenly, the Demon King shows up. Seeing the army has uprooted Fleo and his group enrages him, and he transforms into a demon, commanding his entire demon army to attack the kingdom immediately and take over. The hero is terrified and flees. Meanwhile, Fleo and the girls safely land in a new area, finding all their fields intact. Reese excitedly announces they should celebrate their move with a big feast. Everyone heads inside to help, unaware that a war is brewing. Back in the kingdom, the king is stunned by the news of an imminent attack. He questions his ministers about the situation, and they inform him that the demon army has already infiltrated the northern forests and is advancing rapidly. When the king asks about the hero, the minister replies that the hero ran away in fear at the sight of the Demon King. Realizing the dire situation, the king orders the mages to prepare a massive purification spell to cast on the forest, hoping to kill or at least harm most of the demons. The Demon King, observing the chaos he's causing, is approached by his underlings for further instructions. Despite their progress, the Demon King orders his troops to retreat from the jungle, anticipating the kingdom's mages will attempt a large-scale purification spell. Ulaminas is shocked by this decision, but the Demon King explains they need to protect their demons from the impending attack. On the other side, the mages gather in large numbers at the palace, chanting the purification spell. The head wizard focuses his energy to ensure the spell is powerful enough to eliminate most of the demons. Once the spell is fully powered, the head wizard casts it over the entire kingdom, covering the land with a magic circle that purifies everything in its path. Meanwhile, Fleo returns home from a nearby town, greeted by Reese, who asks about his trip. They sit down for lunch, and Fleo shares that he hasn't found any promising business contacts yet, but plans to look into armor sales tomorrow. One of the girls, who has been working hard in the fields, suggests they could sell their crops to support household expenses. The redhead archer chimes in, expressing her dream to become a horse breeder. She believes that with a stable and some horses, she could make good money to contribute to the household. Fleo finds this fascinating, so she shares that she used to work as an apprentice horse groomer and absolutely loved it. She suggests they could build a huge stable nearby, which fills her with joy. Meanwhile, the wizard and Balirasa sit with their heads down, feeling useless and jobless. Much like me, Reese tries to cheer them up, saying they don't need to worry. Fleo agrees, suggesting they focus on improving their combat skills. The next day, the princess visits the royal hospital. Some ministers assure her there's nothing to worry about because the purification magic drove away the demon army. But the princess isn't impressed. She reminds them that all the kingdom's mages, including her own dad, used up their mana to create the spell and are now out of commission for 2 to 3 months. They can't just hope the Demon King will wait that long. She declares herself in charge and demands a new plan. Her first decree is to strip all the hero's titles. He wasn't brave and ran away at the sight of the Demon King. This takes effect immediately. Later that evening, the hero returns to the kingdom, only to be stopped by a guard who informs him of the princess's decision and tells him to scram. The hero tries to threaten the guard, but it doesn't work. The next morning, all the girls decide to thank Reese and Fleo for their hospitality by convincing them to go out on a date while they clean the entire house. Reese is thrilled and drags Fleo into town. They spend the whole day eating, exploring, and having fun. Fleo realizes he's never properly thanked Reese for always being there for him. He tells her he wants to buy her a gift, which makes her extremely happy. But she's never received a gift before and doesn't know what to choose. Her gaze falls upon a jewelry cart, and she starts browsing through the various pendants and brooches. The blue one catches her eye, and the seller assures her it'll look great on her. Fleo quickly picks it up and puts it on her, complimenting her beauty. After a successful day, they head back home, where Reese is absolutely smitten with the gift Fleo got her, admiring it until late at night. Fleo wakes up later, noticing Reese fell asleep in her bed. He smiles, turning around and going back to sleep. Meanwhile, in the kingdom, the hero sneaks into the castle, knocking out guards to access the royal treasury. He searches through the treasures, hoping to find a magical item to boost his powers and defeat the Demon King, reclaiming his title as hero. Suddenly, he hears a voice calling out to him. Surprised, he follows the voice to a hidden chamber revealed in the wall. The maid accompanying him claims she can't hear anything. The hero realizes the voice must be in his head, promising to grant any wish he desires. In the chamber, he finds a sword stuck in the ground. The voice instructs him to pull it out, and after some effort, he does, creating a whirlwind that throws him out of the room. A Jinn appears before him, offering to fulfill his wishes. Meanwhile, the princess seeks the legendary oracle's guidance on dealing with the Demon King. Suddenly, magical collars appear on everyone in the hall, surprising them all. The princess recalls it as the brand of sacrifice, formed when someone makes a wish to the Jinn. Centuries ago, a king made a wish to deal with the Demon King, resulting in half the population's death as payment. The oracle suggests finding the real hero, who has already been summoned. The princess decides to meet Fleo personally for help. Meanwhile, Fleo sells one of his dragon shields to an armorer at a good price and sets up a trade route for further goods. He thanks Balarasa for showing him the shop, and they head back together. Suddenly, Fleo receives a warning about an approaching Jinn, and in a flash, there she stands, introducing herself as Haya. It turns out the dim-witted hero's first wish was to eliminate Fleo, believing it would secure his hero status. Without hesitation, Haya raises her hand to strike, but Reese bravely interposes herself, taking the deadly blow instead. Bleeding from her chest, she urges Fleo to flee. Undeterred, Haya unleashes a barrage of explosion magic, but Fleo's defenses prove impenetrable. Despite his efforts to heal Reese's wounds, they prove too severe. Haya then resorts to a legendary class magic, unleashing a devastating onslaught, yet Fleo remains unscathed. Tenderly laying Reese down, Fleo is consumed by anger, vowing to avenge the one he holds dearest. Reflecting on their shared journey, he realizes his purpose in a world that once discarded him. Driven by sorrow and fury, Fleo invokes a time reversal spell, undoing Reese's injuries. Haya is stunned, realizing Fleo's extraordinary nature. Before she can react, he delivers a resounding blow to her face, sending her sprawling. Enraged, she threatens retaliation, but Fleo is resolute. He subdues her, demonstrating true equality and strength. Though Haya attempts to shield herself with defensive magic, Fleo transcends barriers, seizing her with unmatched power. He grabs her, revealing all his stats and abilities maxed out to infinity. She can't believe her eyes as Fleo slams her into a wall, then starts pounding her with punches, delivering an uppercut that would make Mike Tyson proud. Meanwhile, Reese finally stirs awake, finding herself surrounded by a huge crater, and realizes she has no wounds. Confused, she looks to Balarasa for an explanation, who simply says Fleo saved her life, and nods toward the fight. Reese is shocked to see her mild-mannered husband throwing punches and kicks like the good old times. He continues to pummel his opponent, making Reese momentarily proud, but she soon remembers his aversion to fighting. Fleo relentlessly pounds the girl until she's nearly unconscious, then grabs her by the neck in a chokehold. The Jinn pleads for forgiveness, but Fleo is unforgiving, intending to end her life. Just as he's about to deliver the final blow, Reese rushes in, pleading for mercy. This snaps Fleo back to reality, and he releases his grip, allowing the Jinn to fall unconscious. He turns to Reese, relieved to find her unharmed, hugging her tightly. Meanwhile, the princess and her party are teleported to the village where Fleo resides. Thanking the mages for their assistance, she instructs everyone to search different areas. Suddenly, the seals on their necks break, leaving everyone relieved but puzzled. The princess wonders if the Jinn failed to fulfill the wish back at the castle. In the treasury, the hero laments how the Jinn deceived him about killing Fleo. Suddenly, a magical entity is released from the chamber and possesses his servant, laughing about her imprisonment. She transforms the hero into a magical monster, destroying the walls and heading toward the castle for revenge on the royal family. Sensing the faint remains of a teleport spell, she follows the mana to find the heir to the throne. Fleo, in the hustle and bustle of the village market, brings Jinn back from the brink of doom with his healing mojo. Slowly but surely, Jinn wakes up, a bit startled at first, finding Fleo looming over. But fear not, he assures her he's not out for blood. She's understandably puzzled, wondering why he'd bother healing her in the first place. With a calm demeanor, Fleo explains it's all because Reese is doing just fine. Enter Balirasa, curious about what to do with Jinn, given her shady track record. Fleo's got a plan, though. He suggests they lock her up in the castle treasury like they did before, armed with some new spells, including mind reading. Yep, you heard that right. He claims he peeked into Haya's mind and found out she was just following orders from the hero. Haya's mind is blown, as only Jinn are supposed to have that power. But Fleo's not keen on just locking her away again. He's worried someone might spring her loose, and they'd be back to square one. So it's brainstorming time. Reese jumps in, suggesting something wild, making Haya Fleo's servant. Both Haya and Fleo are taken aback, but Reese insists it's for the greater good. With a Jinn on their team, their power would skyrocket. Fleo's skeptical, though. Can they really trust someone who previously put them through the ringer? Reese takes a moment to ponder, but ultimately decides forgiveness is the way forward. Fleo extends an olive branch, asking Haya to join their merry band and promise not to off anyone. Haya's surprised by the offer, used to humans being all about themselves. But Fleo's different. He's genuinely kind-hearted. Haya accepts, pledging her allegiance to Fleo. He feels a twinge of guilt for roughing her up before, but she brushes it off, finding the whole ordeal strangely exhilarating. As Fleo surveys the aftermath of their showdown, he considers using his time reversal spell to undo the damage. But Haya quickly nixes that idea, warning him of the serious consequences. Instead, she suggests tapping into his unique ability to borrow spells from his magical adversaries. And just like that, Fleo's got a crash course in responsible magic usage, courtesy of Haya's sage advice. No more messing with time. He's got his eyes set on more practical spells like restoration magic. All right, let's dive into the evening scene back at the house. The gang rolls in. And there's a bit of a shocker waiting for them on the couch. A Jinn, chilling like it's no big deal. Cue the gasps and wide eyes. Fleo steps up to explain that she's crashing with them for a while since she's got nowhere else to go. The archer's spooked, understandably, and checks with Balirasa if it's cool. Balirasa's response? A simple shut up, followed by the news that Jinn's got her own room now. Later that night, Fleo walks in on Reese looking all down in the dumps. He plops down beside her, playing the concerned friend. But things take a turn when Reese gets all emotional, worried about Fleo ditching them now that he's got Jinn magic in his back pocket. She clings to him, pouring out her heart, begging to tag along wherever he goes. Fleo's quick to reassure her, swearing he's in this world for the long haul, and his heart's set on her. In a spur of the moment, he pops the question for real, asking Reese to marry him. She's over the moon, of course, and they dive into some serious PDA. Just as things heat up, they spot Haya lurking in the doorway, playing the dutiful servant card. Fleo shoos her off, embarrassed, but Haya's on about needing to keep tabs on her master at all times. Cue some back-and-forth bickering as they hash it out. Downstairs, the other girls who've been eavesdropping decide it's bedtime, ready to recharge for the next big adventure. Fast forward a few days, and the kingdom's princess is still on the hunt for Fleo, the fallen hero. She's scouring the village for any scrap of info, but it's all coming up empty. Meanwhile, back at the cottage, Haya's settled in nicely, even whipping up breakfast for the crew. The others are amazed that a Jinn can cook, but Haya's got a neat trick up her sleeve. Magic food. However, Reese lays down the law, insisting on homemade meals only if they want Fleo to chow down. Haya's quick to offer her cleaning services in return, eager to pitch in and keep the place spick and span. Right off the bat, there's a stir in the air, catching the girls mid-bite. They realize that if Haya starts picking up cleaning duty, they'll be left twiddling their thumbs. So, Buff Chick dashes to the field, dead set on proving she's still the top dog when it comes to chores. The rabbit lends a paw, morphing into his monster form and lending a hand, digging up the soil. Meanwhile, Redhead Archer's knee-deep in stable duties, dreaming of becoming a coachman someday. But for now, she's content tending to the horses, getting cozy with the gentle giants. Well, most of them are gentle. One gets a bit too friendly, giving her a thorough lick-down, much to her delight. Back at the cottage, Mage's mind wanders to her family's magical lineage. With both dad and bro rocking the royal mage gig, she'd planned to follow suit. But ditching the army for Fleo's crew threw a wrench in her plans. Still, she's determined to make the most of it, recalling Fleo's mentorship in the forest. A little fireball action later, and she's fired up to master her craft. Suddenly, a scream slices through the air, sending Archer and Mage racing outside. They're met with a surreal sight, a giant, purple horse with a horn, wreaking havoc in the fields. Mage's quick reflexes whip up a shield just in time, shielding them from harm. Enter Ballyrossa, who'd been off honing her skills in the forest. Turns out she was duking it out with this magical beast, thinking it was harmless. But one slip up later, and the beast's on a rampage. Ballyrossa's ready to take it down, but Buff Chick pleads for mercy. Archer agrees, suggesting a different approach, transforming the beast back into a rabbit. Archer's got nerves of steel, grabbing a spike and rope, tossing them at the beast. It catches them like a pro, flinging Archer onto its back. What follows is a wild ride, with Archer whispering sweet nothings into the beast's ears, gradually calming it down. The girls are gobsmacked by her animal whisperer skills, but Archer just shrugs it off, claiming most critters are just misunderstood. Meanwhile, Fleo and Reese are off on their own little adventure in town. Fleo's itching to pawn off some of his latest creations, and Reese is thrilled to finally have some quality alone time with him. She's all handsy, grateful for their newlywed status, and ready to flirt up a storm. While Fleo hits up the store, Reese hangs back, peeping through the window. The store owner's all impressed by Fleo's latest salamander skin vest, rare as hen's teeth and lightweight to boot. Then he starts flexing his magic gemstone collection, leaving Reese in awe. It's all still sinking in for her, being married to Fleo and all. But the mood takes a dark turn when a menacing cloud rolls in, followed by gale force winds. People start panicking as a magic circle materializes, spitting out a ginormous monster and a witch. Chaos ensues, with folks running for cover and guards scrambling to protect the princess. Fleo rushes out, making sure Reese is safe. She fills him in on the monster mayhem, and just then, Haya swoops in. Turns out, she sensed the dark vibes and came to lend a hand. According to her, the monster used to be human, twisted into a beast by the witch Damalinas, a real heavyweight in the dark magic scene. She terrorized the area until a hero took her down, but even in death, her spirit's causing havoc. Haya's itching for a showdown, asking Fleo's blessing to take down Damalinas. He gives the green light, while he and Reese focus on getting folks out of harm's way. Amidst the chaos, Damalinas got the princess cornered, with a lone knight trying his best to shield her. Suddenly, kaboom! An explosion rocks the scene, catching Damalinas off guard. She's in for a surprise when she spots Haya, the Jinn, swooping in to rescue the princess. Damalinas is not impressed, though, and starts trash-talking Haya for not playing along with her plans. In a fit of rage, Damalinas whips up a mega-powerful spell, aiming straight for Haya. But guess what? Haya's one tough cookie. She casually blocks the spell with just one arm, leaving Damalinas fuming. Damalinas sends the monster charging at Haya, throwing dark magic left and right, but Haya's cool as a cucumber, batting away the attacks and sending the monster crashing down. Damalinas has had enough and pulls out all the stops, unleashing a devastating spell that tears the ground apart and supercharges the monster. Things look grim, but then, boom! The magic circle powering the monster breaks, and it shrinks back to normal size. Haya apologizes to the monster before turning her attention to Damalinas. With Damalinas out of the picture, Haya takes care of business, dealing with Damalinas' spirit and giving her a taste of her own medicine. Meanwhile, Princess Liz approaches Fleo, recognizing him as the exiled hero. She offers him his old job back, but Fleo politely declines, believing the kingdom deserves a defender who's truly dedicated to their cause. Back at the cottage, the gang's got big plans. They want to expand their turf and start their own business. Fleo's all in, promising to talk to the landowner about buying some extra land. Before long, they've got the deal sealed and are ready to make their dreams a reality. As the sun sets, Fleo whips out a ring crafted from a rare gemstone, sliding it onto Reese's finger. It's a touching moment as they solidify their commitment to each other, with their future looking brighter than ever. Reese's joy knows no bounds, eagerly anticipating the adventures that lie ahead. After a couple of days pass, Ballyrossa finds herself in the grips of a chilling nightmare. She awakens on an ominous altar, cloaked in black, surrounded by an eerie darkness in a place entirely unfamiliar. Confusion clouds her senses as suddenly Luminous, a general of the demon army, materializes before her, announcing her role as the bride-to-be. Balarasa is thrown into a state of shock and fear, demanding to know her whereabouts. Luminous coolly informs her of the impending royal wedding, leaving Balarasa reeling with disbelief. Before she can process this surreal turn of events, the demon lord emerges from the shadows, declaring his love for her. Despite Balarasa's terror, he draws her close, complimenting her beauty and expressing his fortune in marrying her. Luminous then reveals Gol's grandiose wedding gift, the conquest of the entire world, igniting it in flames to establish a new order with him as king and Balarasa as queen. Horrified, Balarasa protests, pleading for the preservation of the world. However, the demon lord dismisses her concerns, attempting to kiss her as she recoils in horror, snapping out of her nightmare into the cold reality of the night, drenched in sweat. Contemplating the disturbing dream, she finds herself conflicted, sensing a strange allure within it. The following morning, Balarasa appears visibly fatigued, much to Rize's concern. When questioned, Balarasa attributes her sluggishness to sleep deprivation caused by her unsettling dreams. Rize, ever the pragmatist, immediately jumps to the conclusion that Balarasa must be in love, much to Balarasa's embarrassment and protestations. Rize insists that according to Demon Wolf lore, dreams about a loved one often manifest as nightmares, even if the person is yet to realize their feelings. Balarasa, flustered and bewildered, vehemently denies any romantic inclinations. However, their conversation attracts the attention of the other girls, who eagerly join in, demanding details. Balarasa, her face flushed with embarrassment, adamantly refutes any notions of affection, asserting that it's all just a silly dream. Unsatisfied, the girls speculate about Balarasa's potential crush, ultimately landing on the Demon King as the object of her affection. Balarasa vehemently denies any such feelings, citing the inherent animosity between humans and demons. The girls reminisce about how often he used to swing by their place just to hang out with her. It was crystal clear to everyone. Balarasa brushes it off, insisting he was just dropping by to see Cleo, and maybe catch Balarasa off guard for a sneak attack. But the girls have their own version of the story. Buff Chick suggests Balarasa should go for broke and steal the Demon King's heart. That way, she could live happily ever after, just like Rize and Cleo, despite being from different backgrounds. Then, out of the blue, Jinn gets nosy and asks Rize how she fell for Cleo. Rize shrugs, saying there wasn't one big thing. Cleo was just naturally kind, a trait usually seen as weak among monsters. But he was also strong, which balanced it out. Plus, he defeated her easily. His charm did the rest. All this talk makes both of them blush, while Cleo's off doing his thing in the kingdom, not a care in the world. Meanwhile, back at the palace, the princess and her crew are freaking out about the demon army. Suddenly, a minister rushes in, babbling about the gold Cleo gave them for rebuilding the city. Turns out it's special hero gold, only given to the chosen ones. The princess connects the dots. Cleo must have been the first hero summoned here, but with weak stats, they booted him out, tossing him some gold as a consolation prize. He must have changed his name and looked to blend in. Now she feels like a total jerk for how they treated him. Just then, a guard bursts in, blabbering about Cleo and his sidekick busting out of jail. The princess orders a manhunt while she figures out what to do about the Demon King. Meanwhile, Cleo and his buddy are holed up in the bushes. She complains her legs are shot, and now they're not just fugitives, but thieves too, thanks to Cleo's sticky fingers in the royal treasury. Cleo insists it was payback for a promised gold bonanza, but all he found was a dinky old shovel in the magic bag. No glittering riches for them, just a rusty shovel. Out of the blue, the guards catch some noise nearby and dash over to check it out. But there's zilch to be found. Turns out, that plain old shovel is actually a royal gem. It can dig like nobody's business. The hero scratches his head, pondering how they'll skedaddle out of this mess. Meanwhile, over at the Demon King's crib, Ulaminas drops the news. No sign of Fleo and his crew yet. She suggests they pivot to invasion mode, seeing as they're on the brink of wiping out the royal kingdom that's been giving them grief. She reckons the castle's top-notch magic users are all tied up, so why not seize the moment and storm the capital? Sure, some demons might bite the dust in the purified zone, but it'll crack open their defenses, paving the way to victory. Gol nods, telling her to keep the search on, 'cause Fleo ain't slipping out of the kingdom that easy. Plus, he's got the scoop on purification magic if push comes to shove. Uliminas rolls her eyes, thinking it's a wild goose chase. But when the demon lord saunters over and pats her noggin, she knows better than to argue. He's keen on keeping his army intact. Meanwhile, a mysterious lady eavesdrops. It's Gol's right-hand woman. She spills the beans to Gol's bro, Sui, who flips his lid. He slams the table, accusing Gol of going soft and bringing a human into their ranks. A major no-no. Another slam, and the lady catches a rock to the noggin, hitting the deck. Sui's had it. He's gunning for the throne, rallying the demon crew for victory. While all that drama unfolds, Fleo and Reese hit up the market for grub ingredients. Fleo's in high spirits, inviting Reese to lunch, sending her mood soaring. She latches onto his arm, and off they trot. They stumble upon an old lady's shop, closing up for good. Turns out the wars stomped out her suppliers, leaving the area in ruins. It's a real downer for the duo, realizing they can't dodge the conflict. But as they amble on, Fleo tips his hat to human resilience. New shops are already popping up, proving they can bounce back. Just as they're about to dive into some restaurant grub, Balarasa comes barreling in, eager to foot the bill. She's leveled up in the Adventurers Guild, thanks to their tutelage. Fleo's stoked, but Riza's less than thrilled. She was hoping for some one-on-one time. They agree to chow down together anyway, ready to celebrate. But hold the phone. Haya swoops in, yammering about a mega-strong demon nearby. Riza's about to hit the panic button when, whoopsie-daisy, it's Gol himself, all buddy-buddy. They shuffle inside and snag a table, but Balarasa's on edge. Gol, ever the charmer, compliments her, which only cranks up her nerves. Balarasa straight up asks if Gol's here to spy on humans, and he's all, yup, sure am. She's steamed, but Fleo plays peacemaker. Gol drops some knowledge bombs about the rocky human-demon relationship. Turns out, demons emit this funky, dark energy that's toxic to humans, especially the low-ranking ones. Reese and Gol can keep it in check, but plenty of others can't. Plus, some demons are born with a one-track mind for battle, which throws a wrench in the whole coexistence thing. With that bombshell, Gol bids adieu and bolts, leaving Balarasa with a plate full of mixed emotions. After polishing off their grub, they link up with the gang and mosey home as the sun dips low. Fleo's mind wanders, glad to see demi-humans aren't treated like dirt in this world. But reality checks in. He knows nothing's perfect. He wraps his arms around Reese, pouring out his love, but a twinge of dread creeps in. With this gnarly war looming, he might have to pick sides sooner than he thought. All right, if you enjoyed this recap, smash that subscribe button for more.